Art is a kind of experience, that will put the audience to get in touch with their emotions, their spirit. To make things that are familiar to them suddenly not so familiar. And then suddenly with that, some strangeness thing, they start to rethink about their own experience.
Montfort Care has been community for almost 25 years. We have been working with seniors and caregivers in the community. I understand their challenges. We also understand how they have been going through this caregiving journey. So come to this year 2024, we are thinking, can we have a more interesting platform for us to advocate or even inspire different people in the community, be it caregivers, care recipients, or the public, to rethink what can we do better or what can we do differently in caregiving. Last year, my CEO, he had a book, Can I Hold You a While Longer, documented his journey taking care of his mother with dementia. So we are thinking maybe it's an opportunity for us to draw some ideas from his book. So that's why we came out with these ideas. Very fortunate, we know Mr. Koh Hieng Luan, founder and CEO of Drama Box, and we are start to have a lot of conversation. Can we use art as a platform to share with the public the creative part of caregiving?
So in this particular case, what we have actually done as a kind of art experience is to use artifacts, work that were created by the senior citizens as artwork, and then present it in a way that is familiar to the experience of the audience. And when they look at it, then you're like, oh, I think I recognize this. And I think I can connect with it emotionally. And with that, then they can get people into a kind of a process of reflecting and thinking of other possibilities. I think art has also another part, which is to bring out the playfulness of people, the curiosity of people. And in caregiving, a lot of time we are so much trapped in those situations. And sometimes, the pain of it, the difficulty of it, the emotion that goes through the whole roller coaster, you start to not think about, there is possibilities. And so art, by putting it in a very playful way, encourage people to think about caregiving in a much more playful, creative and curious way.
So my project is called On Your Feet, so firmly on the ground. So that's how I associate that with caregiving, like how we should always be firm and how we are able to move from one place to another by staying mentally, physically on the ground. For me, I wanted to change the whole perception of having a walking stick. Not that we are not able to walk in order to use it, but rather to help us to balance, even to hike, I don't think a structure is used just for when you are feeling vulnerable. It should also be a kind of a support or even a style. That's why this cane itself is a social companion. I do think of it like a Doraemon sometimes. With lights and bells and they even have a tag. So you kind of humor, to have a bit of humor in your everyday life and it looking colorful rather than clinical. So that's where arts comes in.
拐杖有给我们一个启示啊，就是最终我们会老化，我们会依赖一些东西，对啊，依赖人也好什么啊。就是说朋友也好啊，但是最重要是依赖自己啊！依赖自己的时候，你一定要靠这个拐杖啊。
拐杖是老了还有脚痛可以用得到啦。我以前脚开刀，脚不方便走路嘛，拿来拐杖还比较稳一点，走路比较稳一点。
听到老师讲说要做拐杖，我们就有点担心。怎么样去做那个拐杖？我从来没有拿过锯子来做那个木啊个东西。后来老师指导了啊，就比较好了。从来没有想到拐杖可以表演。
So we created a space that is quite familiar. This is a home setting, but we also made some alterations. So some softer materials, a really calming space. And in here, you will find some scenarios that I think a lot of caregivers and care receivers might be familiar with. The other thing is also we've included artworks that were created by caregivers and care receivers themselves. And you will also find some headphones where you can hear their stories told in their own voices. Yeah, I think we wanted them to be able to interact with the artwork and not just see it, right? Because I think like if you look at a hand versus you hold a hand, they're very different experiences. So we actually do want people to, if they want to engage with it in a way. And we also have an accompanying dossier and also some guided tours with facilitators where we can also invite them to ask questions or to reflect to some of the questions that we've given them. Yeah, so I think it's to kind of create a more active relationship with the pieces that we have. So we actually thought about various angles for the interactive activities, and what we landed on was the idea of validation, to offer reframes, to affirm, and also to create space for reflecting and for play. And this space is really what you want to make of it.
My film, Withering Tree and Dying Ashes, is connected to the Hold Me Now exhibition, in a sense that my reading of the word hold me now is not just for the care receiver, but a lot of times also for a caregiver. What I realized through this process is that when one person in a community, everybody falls sick. That's something that someone told me, and I thought it made quite a big impact in how I approached the film. The protagonist, which is the daughter, I think she came in wanting to solve a lot of her father's problems. In some sense, manage and control the state of her father. It's a very tiring and lonely journey, especially when she feels that her sibling, like her brother or the helper, isn't getting the kind of quality of care that she wants her father to be able to receive. So there's no choice but for her to step in and be the person.
We also have Forrest and Wells, who is in charge of special design to make this space very beautiful.
One of the main things about this exhibition was to convert this space that is a multifunctional office space into something that feels more homely, because the different stages of the exhibition as you walk through, they're meant to be in a home setting. So one of the things was just bring the home and the warmth of a house and try to make it look a bit less like an office space. So we brought in a lot of materials to kind of bring that home look. We brought some curtains from Denmark that have a very nice wooden pattern. So we thought that was interesting because it connects to the walking sticks that are made by the different seniors. Then we also had the terrazzo floor that simulates some of the old flooring in the HDB houses. We have a lot of wood, so we have materials and different elements to bring that feel to the space. We hope that the exhibition design and the different elements really blend with the programming and the activities in a way that the visitor has a seamless experience, and after they go through the exhibition, they have a wider understanding of caregiving, and they go through the different emotions. So in a way, what we're trying to do through the exhibition and the space is to merge with the programming and the overall curation as one seamless experience.
Because this exhibition is for caregiving, I also appreciate the artist team. They interview a lot of our caregivers, they're our clients, to really hear from them what does caregiving mean to them, what they hope to learn, for public to understand more about caregiving. So it's really for advocacy, for public to understand more about caregiving.
I've been doing a project on end of life for more than 10 years. And when I'm doing project on end of life, you are always talking about care and talking about loss. And I think that has been one of the guiding principles of how I actually created the work. Of course, in my care for my father and my mother, those keep coming back to me, thinking about, what is it? Do we even imagine and feel for that person whom we are working with? Do we feel for the pain of that care receiver? Do we feel for the pain for the caregiver? Because caregiver, most of the time, they feel that the whole workload, the burden is on them. Can we relieve them of that.